Buckingham Palace has witnessed countless royal disagreements throughout history, but according to reports now circulating among royal insiders, one private meeting may have changed the future of the British monarchy forever. Behind closed doors, away from cameras and official statements, Prince William and Princess Catherine reportedly stood united during a confidential succession review that placed Queen Camilla's future position under intense scrutiny. What appeared to be a routine discussion about the transition to the next reign allegedly evolved into a constitutional debate with consequences reaching far beyond a single title. Palace advisors are said to have presented documents raising difficult questions about authority, privilege, and what should happen when King Charles's reign eventually comes to an end. If the claims surrounding this meeting are accurate, then one of the monarchy's most sensitive decisions may already have been quietly outlined long before the public ever hears about it. Even more surprising, insiders suggest that every page reviewed inside that room pointed toward one central objective, ensuring that the next reign begins with complete clarity and without competing centers of influence. But what exactly was written inside those confidential files? And why has this reported meeting attracted so much attention? The answers may be even more remarkable than anyone expected. As the reported meeting began, senior palace officials allegedly placed a succession planning file at the center of the table. At first glance, it appeared to contain nothing more than the routine administrative reviews that normally accompany long-term royal planning. Discussions about staffing, official residences, ceremonial responsibilities, and future security arrangements are standard whenever the monarchy prepares for an eventual transition. Yet according to those familiar with the reports, the atmosphere inside the room changed as soon as the first recommendations were examined. Several proposals reportedly focused on what role Queen Camilla's household should play once King Charles's reign eventually comes to an end. While some advisors believed that certain arrangements could continue as a sign of respect for her years of public service, others argued that every privilege connected to the reigning monarch should automatically conclude with that reign. The discussion quickly shifted from practical administration to constitutional principle. What initially appeared to be a technical review gradually became a wider conversation about the future structure of the monarchy itself. Every document seemed to raise another difficult question, leaving those present aware that whatever framework emerged from the meeting could influence the royal institution for many years to come. Prince William reportedly approached the discussion with remarkable composure, choosing careful words rather than emotional arguments. According to royal commentators, his primary concern centered on protecting the stability of the crown rather than targeting any individual member of the royal family. He is believed to have argued that every new reign should begin with a clear and unquestioned chain of authority, ensuring that no overlapping influence could create uncertainty inside the palace. Princess Catherine remained largely silent throughout much of the reported meeting, but observers claim her presence carried significant weight. Instead of interrupting or dominating the discussion, she carefully listened as constitutional advisors explained the possible consequences of each proposal. When she eventually contributed, her comments reportedly focused on public confidence and the importance of maintaining a monarchy that reflects duty rather than personal privilege. Palace officials are said to have recognized that William and Catherine were presenting a united vision for the future, emphasizing clarity, accountability, and institutional stability. Their shared position reportedly demonstrated that preparations for the next reign were being approached with long-term responsibility rather than short-term political considerations. As additional papers were reviewed, advisors reportedly examined recommendations involving ceremonial precedents, official residences, staffing structures, and administrative authority after the transition to a new monarch. Individually, none of the proposals appeared especially controversial. Together, however, they raised an important constitutional question that reportedly became the heart of the entire discussion. Should influence attached to one reign automatically continue into the next? Supporters of a streamlined monarchy argued that every sovereign must begin with a fresh and clearly defined household, free from overlapping offices that could blur responsibility or confuse public expectations. Others believed that preserving certain traditions would better honor years of loyal service. The debate, therefore, became far more significant than a simple conversation about titles. It reflected two different philosophies regarding the future of the monarchy, one favoring continuity through established customs, the other emphasizing reform designed to strengthen institutional clarity. By the time the meeting reportedly approached its conclusion, it had become increasingly apparent that the decisions being considered could shape not only future ceremonial arrangements, but also the public image of the royal family for generations ahead. According to reports surrounding the succession review, the discussion became even more detailed as advisors reportedly examined how future royal households would function once a new monarch assumed the throne. Internal planning allegedly extended beyond ceremonial appearances and included questions about official offices, long-term staffing, and the administration of royal duties. Palace insiders claimed that every proposal was measured against one central principle, whether it would strengthen or complicate the transition into the next reign. Prince William is believed to have argued that even well-intentioned arrangements could create uncertainty if responsibilities were allowed to overlap between two different royal eras. His reported position was that the institution should always remain larger than any individual, regardless of personal history or public sympathy. While acknowledging the years of service given by senior members of the royal family, he allegedly maintained that constitutional clarity must always come first. Advisors carefully reviewed multiple options, comparing traditional practices with modern expectations before weighing their long-term consequences. What had started as routine planning was now becoming a careful effort to ensure that future generations inherited a monarchy built upon clearly defined responsibilities rather than uncertain interpretations of past arrangements. Princess Catherine reportedly became more involved as the conversation turned toward the public perception of the monarchy. According to royal commentators, she emphasized that every privilege connected to royal life ultimately carries a responsibility to serve the nation rather than personal interests. Reports suggest she questioned whether future ceremonial advantages should continue automatically if they were no longer connected to active constitutional duties. Her comments were described as measured, respectful, and focused entirely on protecting the institution's credibility in the eyes of the public. Palace advisors are said to have agreed that modern audiences increasingly expect transparency, accountability, and fairness from public institutions, including the royal family. Catherine reportedly argued that maintaining public confidence requires decisions that can be explained through clear constitutional principles rather than private relationships. Her perspective allegedly reinforced William's broader vision of a streamlined monarchy, where authority remains closely linked to active responsibility. Rather than presenting the issue as a personal disagreement, she reportedly framed it as an opportunity to strengthen the monarchy's long-term stability, while ensuring that future transitions remain orderly, predictable, and free from unnecessary constitutional uncertainty. As the review progressed, legal advisors reportedly presented several constitutional scenarios illustrating how unclear authority could create complications during a future transition. According to those familiar with the discussion, the examples were not directed at any one individual, but instead reflected lessons learned from previous periods of royal change throughout history. Advisors reportedly explained that overlapping ceremonial roles, competing administrative offices, or uncertain chains of responsibility could easily lead to confusion both inside the palace and in the public eye. Prince William is believed to have listened carefully before emphasizing that preventing such uncertainty today would avoid far greater challenges tomorrow. Rather than reacting to immediate circumstances, he reportedly focused on building a framework capable of serving the monarchy for decades into the future. The discussion gradually shifted away from personalities and toward constitutional consistency, with every recommendation being judged according to whether it strengthened the institution as a whole. By this stage, those participating reportedly understood that the decisions under consideration would likely influence not only the beginning of William's future reign, but also the public's confidence in how the crown manages moments of historic transition. By the final stage of the reported review, palace officials were allegedly working toward a framework designed to balance respect for long-serving members of the royal family with the constitutional requirements of a new reign. Sources claim that no one questioned the importance of honoring years of public service, yet many believed that recognition and constitutional authority should not necessarily be treated as the same thing. This distinction reportedly became one of the most significant themes discussed throughout the meeting. Prince William and Princess Catherine are said to have supported an approach that preserves personal dignity while ensuring that official authority always reflects the responsibilities of the reigning monarch. Advisors reportedly concluded that a clearly defined transition would reduce future misunderstandings and help maintain public trust during one of the most important moments in modern royal history. Although the palace has never publicly confirmed many of the claims surrounding this reported meeting, speculation continues to grow as royal observers attempt to understand what these private discussions could mean for the monarchy's future. And according to several reports, the most revealing documents may not have been discussed publicly at all, leaving the biggest questions still unanswered. Despite the growing speculation, the reported succession review was never described as an attempt to diminish anyone's personal contribution to the royal family. Instead, according to royal observers, the discussion focused on establishing a constitutional framework capable of guiding the monarchy through one of its most significant transitions in generations. Palace advisors allegedly emphasized that every reign brings new priorities, new responsibilities, and a new structure of leadership. Prince William is said to have agreed that honoring the past should never prevent the institution from preparing responsibly for the future. Throughout the reported meeting, the conversation repeatedly returned to the same principle that authority must always remain connected to active constitutional duty rather than continue simply because of tradition or expectation. Princess Catherine reportedly supported this position, believing that a clearly defined transition would strengthen both public confidence and institutional stability. Although the discussion remained respectful, insiders suggest everyone in the room understood the long-term consequences of the decisions being considered. By the end of the review, it reportedly became increasingly clear that the future monarchy would be shaped by constitutional clarity above all else, regardless of how difficult those conversations might become behind closed palace doors. As reports of the confidential discussions gradually spread beyond palace circles, royal commentators began debating what such constitutional planning could mean for the future image of the monarchy. Some argued that modernizing long-standing traditions would demonstrate the royal family's willingness to adapt to changing public expectations, while others questioned whether significant reforms might unintentionally weaken historical customs that have defined the institution for centuries. Whatever opinion people held, one point seemed impossible to ignore. The reported review reflected careful preparation rather than impulsive decision-making. Every recommendation was allegedly examined through legal, ceremonial, and constitutional perspectives before reaching any conclusion. Prince William reportedly believed that uncertainty during a royal transition would create greater risks than difficult conversations held in advance. Princess Catherine was also said to support planning that minimized confusion for palace staff, government officials, and the public alike. Instead of allowing future disagreements to emerge during the first days of a new reign, The reported objective was to resolve potential questions long before they could develop into larger constitutional challenges. Even after the reported meeting concluded, speculation surrounding its contents continued to grow. Palace officials maintained their traditional policy of avoiding comment on private constitutional discussions, leaving royal experts and journalists to interpret the limited information available through unofficial sources. This silence only increased public curiosity. Many observers wondered whether additional succession documents might exist containing recommendations that have never been publicly discussed. Others questioned whether future adjustments could still occur before King Charles's reign eventually comes to an end. Whatever the answers may be, one thing appears increasingly clear according to constitutional analysts: the preparation for the next reign is already well underway. Prince William and Princess Catherine are widely believed to be approaching their future responsibilities with careful planning rather than reacting to events as they unfold. Their reported emphasis on clarity, accountability, and institutional stability suggests a long-term vision designed to protect the monarchy from unnecessary uncertainty while preserving public confidence during one of the most important transitions in modern royal history. Whether every report surrounding this private meeting ultimately proves accurate or not, the discussion itself highlights the enormous responsibility carried by those preparing to lead the monarchy into its next chapter. Behind every royal title lies a complex constitutional system where decisions made quietly today can influence the institution for decades to come. According to ongoing speculation, Prince William and Princess Catherine remain committed to ensuring that the future crown begins with clear authority, defined responsibilities, and a structure capable of meeting the expectations of a modern nation while respecting centuries of royal tradition. Queen Camilla's reported role within those discussions has naturally attracted widespread attention, but the larger story has always been about the future direction of the monarchy itself.